on how others categorize you, but upon what is in your heart. An America in which talented teachers shepherd dedicated students through the best schools in the entire world, where an 8-year-old can pick up a book and read it on his or her own. An America in which higher education is open to all and affordable by all. From our vantage point tonight, we see an America where every child can connect to the information superhighway and absorb the vast knowledge of a small planet. An America where any person with a good idea and the desire to work can enter the new networked economy and become tomorrow's successful entrepreneur. An America where the greatest scientists in the world continue to make discoveries that change our lives for the better. We see an America where the water is safe and the air is clean, whose national parks continue to thrive and delight our families, whose toxic waste sites are cleaned up, and whose urban brownfields become alive again and green with promise for all our people. From where we stand tonight, we see an America making a transition to a new era, aware of the uncertainties but inspired by the possibilities. We are beginning to see an America scrubbing the stain of cynicism from our national fabric, reinvigorating the civic institutions on which our national health depends. An America motivated not by what divides us, but by what makes us one. And that is why we also see an America where a president of one party and a Congress of another can work together to serve citizens of every party. Let me say a special word to America's young people tonight. This is your nation too. Your claim on it is just as great as those who are older. Please involve yourselves in our democratic process. Add your voices and your talents to our grand experiment in self-government. Ladies and gentlemen, in only a few hours it will be morning, and across America, from the Shenandoah Valley to Silicon Valley, from Brighton Beach in New York to Oak Street Beach in Chicago, from Tampa Bay to Puget Sound, from the Oval Office in the White House to the kitchen table in your house, the sun will rise on another day in America, another step forward on our national journey. And leading us in that journey will be the man from hope who tonight becomes a man for history. Prior to this election, in the entire history of our nation, from the presidency of George Washington forward, only 13 people have been elected to 2 straight terms as President of the United States of America. Six of them have been Democrats, one of history's short lists. But tonight, to the names of Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, James Monroe, Andrew Jackson, Woodrow Wilson, and Franklin Delano Roosevelt, we add a 7th name, the name of your president, my friend, President William Jefferson Clinton.
My fellow Americans, thank you for being here. Just 4 years from now, we will enter a new century of great challenge and unlimited possibility. Now, we've got a bridge to build, and I'm ready if you are. Today, the American people have spoken. They have affirmed our course. They have told us to go forward. America has told every one of us, Democrats, Republicans, and Independents, loud and clear, it is time to put politics aside, join together, and get the job done for America's future. In the last 4 years, we've made remarkable progress, but in our schools, our families, our workplaces, and our communities, our journey is not done. My fellow Americans, we have work to do, and that's what this election was all about. I want to say to all of you here and to all of the American people, no words can convey the gratitude I feel tonight for the honor that has been given to me. It is an honor that belongs to many. First, to my family, to my wonderful wife of 21 years, who from the day I first met her began teaching me that it does take a village to raise our children and build our future. To our daughter Chelsea, for understanding the work we have done together, the burdens it has imposed. Today, I went down to the train station to vote in the last election in which I will appear on the ballot. And as I have done in every year since she was born, I took Chelsea to the ballot with me. And as we looked at the ballot together and discussed the issues there, I thank God that I was born an American. I thank the members of my wonderful family who are here, my stepfather Dick Kelly, my wonderful mother-in-law Dorothy Rodham, and all the others. And I thank my beloved mother who is smiling up there and said, I never had a doubt. I always knew it would be this way. I thank the friends of my lifetime. There are people who have stood with me through thick and thin, who started with me in grade school and junior and senior high school, in college and all across the years since. Friends who knew me and knew my dreams and stood as a powerful force against those who sought to stop America's progress with the politics of personal destruction. Thank you, my friends. Thank you for what you did for America. I thank the people of my beloved native state. I would not be anywhere else in the world tonight. In front of this wonderful old Capitol that has seen so much of my own life and our state's history, I thank you for staying with me so long, for never giving up, for always knowing that we could do better. I thank the finest vice president this country has ever seen. Because of Al Gore, we have a stronger and more secure relationship with the democratic Russia. We are exploring the wonders of new technologies for the benefit of America. We are protecting our environment, and we have reinvented America's government so that it does more with less, thanks to his leadership. It is a legacy unique in the history of this republic. I thank Tipper for her friendship, for her crusades on behalf of our children and the mental health of the American people, and for always standing with us along with her children and her family. I thank the members of our administration, the cabinet members, the members of the White House staff, I thank all those who are part of the permanent service to the President at the White House and the medical staff. I thank especially my Secret Service detail that has been so challenged by a president determined not to be isolated from the American people. I thank the members of our campaign staff, all those who have served in this election and the work you have done. I thank the leaders of our party in the Congress and the state houses. I thank all those who stood for what we believe in these elections today, those who won and those who did not. You did a service to America by raising the things in which we believe, and I thank you all and wish you Godspeed. I want to thank the employees of the nation's government. They have had to do a remarkable job. We have reduced the size of our government to its smallest point since President Kennedy served, and yet they have continued to serve the people better year in and year out. They had to do it in the face of enormous challenges and outright hatred for momentary periods. They had to live with the horror of Oklahoma City and the difficulties that came along the way. But the people who serve us deserve our thanks, and I thank them. I thank those who served this administration and our cause, who are no longer here tonight, and one especially I must thank, my friend and brother Ron Brown. You're looking down on us, and I know you're smiling too. On a purely personal note, I must thank my pastor Rex Horn, who prayed with me before I came out here tonight, and all the ministers and people of God who prayed for me and with me over these last 4 years. There were a few especially, and they know who they are, who came to the White House time after time in good times and bad. When the times were bad, they reminded me that God gave St. Paul a thorn in his flesh so he would not become exalted in his own eyes. And that certainly was not a problem for me in the bad times. When the times were good, they reminded me that humility is always in order in the presidency, for in this life we see through a glass darkly, and we cannot know the whole truth of our circumstances or the motives of those who oppose us. I thank them all for bringing me closer to God and to the eternal wisdom without which a president cannot serve. I would like to say a special word of thanks to Senator Dole, and I ask you to join me in applause for his lifetime of service to the United States. And I thank Jack Kemp for his service to America and his devotion to the proposition that this is a country in which everyone should have a chance to live free and equal and to have a chance at success. Let me say, I had a good visit with Senator Dole not too long before he went out to speak. I thanked him for his love of our country, for his years of service. I applauded the campaign that he fought so bravely to the very last minute. I thanked him for the work we did together to advance the common cause of America. And on behalf of all Americans, I wish him well and Godspeed. 4 years ago, on these very steps, we set forth on a journey to change the course of America for the better, to keep the American dream alive for everyone willing to work for it, to keep America the world's strongest force for peace and freedom and prosperity, to come together as one American community. The time was one of widespread frustration and doubt about our economic and social problems, about our ability to deal with the vast sweep of change that was all around us. The scope and pace of those changes were threatening to many, and our values seemed to be under attack on all sides. But together, you and I vowed to turn our country around with a strategy to meet our challenges and protect our values: opportunity for all, responsibility from all, an American community of all Americans. We have worked hard to end the politics of who's to blame and instead to ask, what are we going to do to make America better? Tonight we proclaim that the vital American center is alive and well. It is the common ground on which we have made our progress. Today our economy is stronger, our streets are safer, our environment is cleaner, the world is more secure, and thank God our nation is more united. To all the men and women across this country who have created our jobs, taught our children, patrolled our streets, and kept America safe throughout our world, I say America's success is your success. This victory is your victory. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Now, my fellow Americans, a vast new century lies before us. It will be a time more full of opportunity for people to live out their dreams than any in human history. We have committed this night to continuing our journey, to doing the hard work that will build our bridge to the 21st century, to give the young people here and those all across America the America they deserve, and their children and their children's children. But we have work to do. We have work to do to keep our economy growing steady and strong by balancing the budget while we honor our duties to our families, our parents, and our children, and our duty to pass on to our children the earth God gave us. We have work to do to give all of our children the gift of an education, to make sure every 8-year-old can read, every 12-year-old can log on to the internet, and yes, every single 18-year-old in this country willing to work for it can have a college education. We have work to do to make the permanent underclass in this country a thing of the past, to lift our fellow citizens who are poor from the degradation of welfare dependency to the pride and dignity of work. We have work to do to strengthen our families, to help our parents succeed at home and at work, to keep our children safe from harm in their schools, their streets, their homes, and their communities, to clean up our environment so that our children grow up next to parks, not poison, to tell them that drugs are wrong and illegal and they can kill them, to teach them right from wrong. My fellow Americans, I will do all I can to advance these causes, but all our citizens must do their part to continue the upsurge of personal responsibility that in the last 4 years has brought crime to a 10-year low, child support collections to an all-time high, and reduced the welfare rolls. Will you help me do that? We must do it together. We must make our democracy stronger by enacting real, bipartisan campaign finance reform. Talk is no longer enough. We must act and act now, and the American people will be watching the leaders of both parties to see who is willing not just to talk, but to act. I am willing to act, and I ask others to join me. And we must keep America the world's indispensable nation, finishing the unfinished business of the Cold War, meeting the new threats to our security through terrorism and the proliferation of dangerous weapons, and seizing these extraordinary opportunities to extend our values of peace and democracy and prosperity. Every American here tonight and every American within the sound of my voice can take pride in the fact that in these last few years, for the first time in all of human history, a majority of the human beings living on this globe live under democracies where the people rule. The challenges we face, they're not Democratic or Republican challenges, they're American challenges. What we know from the budget battles of the last 2 years and from the remarkable success of the last few weeks of this Congress is the lesson we have learned for the last 220 years. What we have achieved as Americans of lasting good, we have achieved by working together. So let me say to the leaders of my Democratic Party, and the leaders of the Republican Party. It is time to put country ahead of party. We do not know the final outcome of the congressional elections, but we know this: the races are close. The American people have been closely divided. The Congress, whatever happens, will be closely divided. They are sending us a message: work together, meet our challenges, put aside the politics of division, and build America's community together. On this beautiful night, when we have shared so much joy and so much music and so much laughter and so much pride, it is hard for me to believe that it was 23 years ago when I first began to go to the people of Arkansas to ask for their support. The most lasting and important thing that I have learned in all those 23 fleeting years is this: when we are divided, we defeat ourselves. But when we join our hands and build our families and our communities and our country, America always wins. What we need to do is to do the work of America the way we seek to do the work of raising our children and doing our work and supporting our religious institutions and our community institutions. If we would simply be Americans the way we seek to live in all of our other roles, there is no stopping America. Our best days are still ahead. And so, I say, when we look into our hearts and simply ask what is right for the American people and the future of our children, when we set aside our differences and build on our shared values of faith and family and work, when we roll up our sleeves and work together, America always wins. And my fellow Americans, America is going to keep winning these next 4 years. Let me say that, as all of you here from my native state know, I believe this and I have tried to live by it, because there is no person in America who has been given more gifts than I have. There is no person in America tonight who feels more humble in the face of this victory than I do. 50 years ago, when I was born in a summer storm to a widowed mother in a small town in the southwest part of our state, it was unimaginable that someone like me could have ever become president of the greatest country in human history. It has been, for me, a remarkable journey, not free of failure, but full of adventure and wonder and grace. I have worked hard to serve, but I did not get here on my own. Every step along the way, for these last 23 years and long before, there was a teacher, a doctor, a neighbor, a parent, a friend, a wife, a daughter, who always had time to care, who always tried to give me instruction and encouragement, and who never gave up. I got here tonight, my fellow Americans, because America gave me a chance. That is what all the children of America deserve. Our people have to give them the tools, to give them not a guarantee, but that real chance to live up to their God-given potential. And I ask you to join me in that commitment. Every child deserves the main chance that I was given. And so I say, again, let us resolve to run our country the way we tried to run our lives. Whether you are of the party of Thomas Jefferson or the party of Abraham Lincoln, whether you're an independent or unaffiliated, remember that we all belong to the greatest nation in history. To us, much has been given and much is still expected. We must rise to the challenge of building that bridge to the 21st century. Tonight is a night for joy, not just for us here, but for all Americans. For the 53rd time in our history, Our people have made their quiet and deliberate decision. They have come together with their powerful voice and expressed their will. Tonight we celebrate the miracle of America. Tomorrow we greet the dawn and begin our work anew. I am more grateful than I can say. You have given me an opportunity and a responsibility that comes to few people. I will do my best, and together we will build that bridge to the 21st century. Thank you, good night, and God bless America. Thank you.
Bill Clinton, who has a penchant for lengthy speeches, has given one yet tonight, a victory speech that is something more than a victory speech, I think. I think it's probably fair to say that a second term is very different than a first term. A first term, and this may sound harsh, but I think it's true, that almost everything that happens to a president or by a president in a first term is at least in part designed to get him reelected. But in a second term, everything is at least in part designed to secure a place in history as Bill Clinton looks skyward. And there are fireworks going on, and if we can get up a shot there, we'll show them to you. There we go. And I think the kind of speech we heard from Bill Clinton tonight suggests that he is looking for a place in history as a true leader, a leader of substance, and not just politically adept. And Mark, by the same token, I think it's fair to say that what we saw tonight is also an effort to secure Al Gore's place in the Oval Office 4 years from now.
He made the joke many times during the campaign that if you look at the vice presidential seal just the right way, it says President of the United States. You don't see vice. That was his joke.
Little Rock, Arkansas, Bill Clinton, Al Gore, the first family, the second family, saying thank you, saying good night. Tomorrow, it's back to work. And we'll be back with more of Action News' 96 Vote coverage in just a moment. Back to the business at hand, and the business at hand is the 13th Congressional District in Pennsylvania, the John Fox-Joe Huffle race, and it is still very, very close. With just over 70% of the vote counted, John Fox leads Joe Huffle by just about 1,500 votes. This race continues to be close. No one thinking of calling it, and perhaps it won't even be concluded. We perhaps will not even know a winner tonight. It may have to go on tomorrow. We don't know. Vernon Odom is at Huffle headquarters. John Rawlins is at John Fox headquarters. First, let's go to Vernon. Vernon?
Jim, several hundred people remain here at Fox's headquarters in the outskirts of Norristown tonight, waiting to see Joe Huffle. He's not appeared yet. The last word I get from the Montgomery County Democratic Party chairman is they think that if the trend continues, he's predicting they win by 1,000 votes. Not paying attention at that point to those numbers that are in so far. They're predicting a 1,000 vote victory for Joe Huffle tonight. They describe themselves as, quote, cautiously optimistic, but of course, they're still not sure. Many people here are still waiting and watching, waiting for Joe Huffle. Vernon Odom, Channel 6 Action News, reporting live from Norristown. Jim?
Thank you, Vernon. And John Rawlins is at John Fox headquarters. John, I think it's fair to say that if a race ends 1,000 votes or so between the two, we may see recounts, we may see no concessions. It could go on for some time.
Yeah, I don't think anybody at this point has any idea when this thing is going to resolve itself. There's a number of puzzles here. Among the puzzles is, why is it taking so long? After all, Montgomery County has a new computerized vote system. They were expecting to see the vote here tallied rather quickly. It seems as if we have been stuck some time now with about 71% of the vote in. Everybody here concedes it is going down to the wire. They concede that the margin is going to be very thin, but they're still optimistic here that it will be a Fox margin. But at this point, it remains a nail-biter. I'm John Rawlins, live on the Action Cam. Jim?
Thank you, John. In a race that is not a nail-biter, this was settled early in the 2nd Congressional District in New Jersey. Frank Lobiondo will go back to Capitol Hill for a second term with an easy win over Ruth Katz tonight. And we are now joined by Mark Howard for some thoughts.
I'm picking through the entrails here of this election day, Jim. Some interesting little facts here and there. For one, in politics, names are important. The next Auditor General of Pennsylvania will be Robert Casey, Jr., son of the former Auditor General, Robert Casey, who went on to become two-term Governor Robert Casey. Pennsylvania Pennsylvania even nominated another Robert Casey, no relative, as a candidate for lieutenant governor back in the 70s. Bob Casey is a great Pennsylvania political name. The state's next treasurer will be Mina Baker Knoll, daughter of the present treasurer, Kathy Baker Knoll. Knoll and Casey both won on their first try of elective office. We also got a clue about voters' interest in scandal, alleged scandal. Delaware Governor Tom Carper was accused of spousal abuse during this campaign. Well, 4 years ago, Carper won with 66% of the vote. Tonight, the ABC exit poll shows that he should end up with 71% of the vote. The allegations obviously did not stick. And 4 years ago, Bill Clinton carried Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, pulling Marjorie Margolis-Mezvinsky into Congress by 1,373 votes. Squeak. I think I hear squeaks again. It's a close one.
Thanks to Bill.
Yes.
At least in part.
Keeping it close. Last time was 4,000 or 8,000 votes.
All right.
It's late.
Well, let's go back to the New Jersey Senate race, and maybe Bill Clinton had something to do with this as well. We're talking about the seat held by retiring Democrat Bill Bradley that will be occupied by Bob Torricelli, who beats Republican Dick Zimmer tonight in a race that ended up not nearly as close as everybody thought it would be. In New Jersey's bitter Senate contest, Congressman Torricelli won the seat vacated by Bradley. Torricelli defeated fellow Congressman Zimmer by a comfortable margin to keep a seat in the Democratic column. The campaign was vicious at times and expensive. Tonight, though, Torricelli looked ahead, saying he will continue the work of Bill Bradley.
That if I serve with distinction, if I serve with character, strength, and integrity, then one day they will say, he was a senator like Bill Bradley. And that is a goal worth of any person.
Zimmer conceded at 9:30 tonight. He congratulated Torricelli. Both men had to resign their House seats. Torricelli returns to Washington as a senator in January. What Zimmer will do next is unclear on this election night that brought defeat for him. Let's look at the U.S. Senate race in Delaware, where the incumbent, a veteran on Capitol Hill and a major supporter of Bill Clinton, Joseph Biden, goes back for a fifth term, having defeated Ray Clatworthy tonight. In Pennsylvania, several U.S. House seats at stake today. In the 1st Congressional District, Tom Follietta goes back for a 9th term. In the 2nd District, Chaka Fattah goes back for a 2nd term with 88% of the vote. In the 3rd District, Bob Borski goes back for an 8th term with 69% of the vote. Joe McColgan, 31%. In the 7th District, Kurt Weldon, Republican, 2/3 of the vote tonight. John Anelli, 32%. Weldon goes back for a 6th term, I believe. 6th or 7th, I'll check it. In the 8th Congressional District, Jim Greenwood goes back for a 3rd term. John Murray used to be the head of the Philadelphia Federation of Teachers. Tonight he is an unsuccessful candidate for Congress. And again, in the, which one are we going to show now? Right. In the 13th District, here's that race that we've been following all night long. 86,164 votes to 84,553, with just over 70% of the vote counted. We'll see where this one ends up tomorrow. Bucks County Republican Jim Greenwood, another re-election winner tonight, and we already covered that for you. In other congressional races in Pennsylvania, in the 16th District, this one to replace the retiring Robert Walker after 20 years on Capitol Hill. State Representative Joseph Pitts from Kennett Square, an easy winner tonight over James Blaine, who is a newspaper publisher from Kennett Square. So two men from Kennett Square, and Pitts expected to win this race. No Democrat has won this district. They call this the Pennsylvania Dutch District. No Democrat has won this district since before the Civil War. And that tradition holds true again tonight. Where do we go next? Someone want to tell me? All right, Bucks County Republican Jim Greenwood, as we told you, a re-election winner tonight, and David Murphy will have that story now from Doylestown.
It was handshakes all around for Republican Congressman Jim Greenwood of Bucks County's 8th District, once the stronghold of Democrat Peter Kostmeyer. Now Greenwood's for a 3rd term after he easily held on against Democratic challenger John Murray and 2 third-party candidates. He did it with a combination of superior fundraising and his moderate image.
I think the country was looking for moderates, and I think had some of our major candidates, a guy like Dick Zimmer, shown his moderate side more, he would have won.
National Republican Party bigwigs are no doubt happy about Congressman Greenwood maintaining his seat here in Bucks County, even if they weren't always happy with his voting record. He sided with Democrats on issues like NAFTA, abortion rights, and gun control. But in a moderate district like the 8th here in Bucks County, that's just what voters wanted. And that's what they're going to get for another 2 years. David Murphy, Channel 6 Action News, Doylestown.
And in 2 other congressional races in Pennsylvania, in the 6th district, this is Berks County. Tim Holden goes back for a 3rd term, having defeated Christian Lineback tonight. In the 15th district, Paul McHale will return as the Lehigh Valley's representative to Congress. Also a 3rd term for him. He defeats Bob Kilbanks tonight and Nicholas Sabatine. As we continue the latest returns in the U.S. House races in New Jersey, in the 1st district, Rob Andrews beats Mel Suplee. Mel Suplee having replaced Sophia Nilsson, who left the race last spring because of some medical problems. Rob Andrews, don't be surprised if he goes up against Christy Whitman next year in the race for governor of New Jersey. In the 2nd district, Frank Lobiondo goes back for a 2nd term. He defeated Ruth Katz tonight. In the 3rd district, James Saxton, a 7th term in Washington, winning tonight over John Leonardi. In the 4th district, Chris Smith, a 9th term, having defeated Kevin Mira tonight. And in the 12th district, if we have that one ready, this is Dick Zimmer's seat, and Mike Pappas, the Republican, seems to be on his way to a victory over David Del Vecchio, and so that seat will stay Republican. Delaware Congressman Mike Castle, also reelected tonight to a 3rd term, having defeated Dennis Williams. And in Delaware's gubernatorial contest, again, Tom Carper, no problem tonight, a landslide, a huge victory over Janet Reznicki. And in the lieutenant governor's race, Ruth Ann Minner defeating Sherman Miller tonight. Now, there are a few ballot questions being decided locally. New Jersey question, port dredging bond issue. In New Jersey, should the state borrow $300 million for dredging North Jersey cargo channels, cleanup, lake restoration, and Delaware Bay economic development? And right now, 70% or almost 70% are saying yes. New Jersey question, toxic waste cleanup amendment, and voters also decided on a proposed state constitution amendment to earmark 4% of corporate business tax revenues for environmental cleanup, and almost 70% are saying yes. Now, the Philadelphia question, public improvement bonds, 72% saying yes, and they have decided that the city should be allowed to borrow $128 million for municipal buildings such as police and fire stations, and for just about every other area of public service, from libraries to parks and transit, and even for Veterans Stadium. The Princeton Township merger referendum. Princeton Borough and Princeton Township, should they become one? Cost-cutting at the heart of these referendums in North Jersey that propose merging, actually in central New Jersey, proposed merging Princeton Township and Princeton Borough. Voters in those 2 communities are deciding if merging would be beneficial in terms of saving municipal services. The last time such a municipal consolidation happened in New Jersey was in 1952 when Vineland and Landis Township merged as Vineland Township. Now, both Princeton Borough and Princeton Township have to say yes. Have they both said yes? We only have the township results, and they are saying yes, nothing out of Princeton Borough. And so we will have to wait to see if that